Hey guys, it's Rachel here. Today's video is going to be my May wrap-up. I know that right now as I'm filming it, it is only May 26th, but if I do finish one more book, it's going to be the only one. So I want to go ahead and get this done so that I wouldn't, forget. So yeah, so this month I had a much better reading month than I have had in a really long time. So like in January, I think I read 7 books. In February, I read 5 books. In March, I read 2 books. 2 or 1 book. I think 1 book, maybe 2 books. April, I read 2 books. And this month, I managed to, as of right now, have read 5 books. So I am super duper proud of myself. I have been kind of wishy-washy on reading here in the past couple of weeks, specifically because I've just been so busy. I've had so much stuff going on, so I really haven't found a whole lot of time to read, which is really depressing because I love reading. It is my favorite hobby kind of thing. And similarly, I haven't really been buying any books, which is weird because I love book buying, but I kind of reasoned with myself that if I'm not reading that many books right now, I should probably not be buying a whole lot of books right now. So there's that. So yes, so this month I read 5 books. So proud, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you them right now. So the first book that I read this month, and actually really more finished this month, is World After by Susan E. I finished Angelfall at the end of April, and I am obsessed. I absolutely loved Angelfall. But then when I didn't want to get out of the world yet, so like I hadn't even finished Angelfall when I ordered World After off of Amazon, and it got here, and I took it on the trip with me to Kentucky, and I read almost the entirety of it on the way home on May 1st, I want to say, and then I finished it the next day, and 5 out of flippin' 5 stars. The only complaint I have about World After is that it took 200 and some odd pages for us to see Rafi, and that was not good for me. I needed Rafi in my life so bad. This takes place pretty much immediately after the ending of Angelfall. I can't even tell you what this is about because it's gonna give away Angelfall. Just suffice it to say, 5 out of 5 stars. For the love of all that is good, please read Angelfall and then read World After. They are only $7 on Amazon. Well worth it. Fantastic. Susan E. Hurry up and give us a 3rd book. That's all I gotta say. The second book I read this month, I kind of read with Suna from Kiwi Lover 25. She had asked me if I wanted to read this book with her because I saw that she had hauled it, and I said sure, and then she read it in a day, and that wasn't enough time for me. But hey, that's neither here nor there, and that book is Cruel by Jennifer Albin. Now, I have had this on my bookshelf for actually quite a bit of time, and that's what I love about doing read-alongs, especially with booktubers who have older books that I have had sitting on my shelf for a long time, because it gives me an excuse to read the book. But I went ahead and read this with her. Cruel, it was okay. It wasn't anything groundbreaking in my opinion, but I did really enjoy it. I think I gave it either a 3.5 or a 4 stars, and it was pretty good. Pretty much this story is about a girl named Adelise, and Adelise lives in a world where things are woven together. She spends pretty much her entire life trying to hide the fact that she can see the fabrics of life, essentially. And then one day when she is going to be tested and to find out what she's going to do for the rest of her life, she accidentally slips and she is taken away from her family, and the story kind of takes off from there. I did like the book a lot. This is more fantasy-esque. I would not say this is dystopian, so if you're looking for dystopian, this is probably not the book for you. It is more fantasy-esque. I did enjoy it, although I was kind of torn in the love area of it. At first I was like, I don't know who the love interest is, and then I was kind of like a love triangle, and there's a lot of characters that are unlikable. I don't know. It was an enjoyable read, and I'm going to continue and read Altered. I have it in a basket on Book Outlet because they happen to have it, but like I said, it wasn't the worst book in the world. It wasn't the greatest book in the world, but I did enjoy it. So the 3rd book that I read this month, and tied for my favorite book of the month, because World After was probably, I don't know, it's between, they're two different genres, so it's kind of hard to say. But if World After wasn't my favorite book of the month, then this one definitely is, and it is Love Letters to the Dead by Ava DeLaria. I have a lot of feelings about Love Letters to the Dead, and I actually think that I'm going to film a separate book review for it because I loved it that much. I think that the entirety of the book, I had like a lump in my throat, and after I read The Fault in Our Stars, I didn't think that a book would ever be able to affect me the way The Fault in Our Stars did. And then I read Love Letters to the Dead, and it was a tough read. Essentially, it is about a girl named Laurel. And Laurel, she's kind of awkward. She lives not necessarily in her sister's shadow, but she adores her sister. And Laurel is given an assignment in the new high school that she is in. And the assignment is to write a letter to somebody who has died. And rather than send her letter to somebody such as an older president or something like that, she chooses to send her letters to, or she chooses to write her letters to dead people who had tragic deaths. Some like Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin. She sends one to River Phoenix. She sends some to Judy Garland, and but she writes to all these people that have had kind of tragic deaths or tragic lives, or someone that she has admired. And she vents to them essentially over her life, how things have happened. She uses it as a form of therapy, I guess you could say. This book was really difficult for me to read, and like I said, I had kind of a lump in my throat the entire time, like on the verge of tears almost the entirety of the book. It was just so absolutely beautiful. I enjoyed it so much. I devoured it. It didn't take me very long to read. I absolutely loved it. I love the cover, and it was so phenomenal. I think I mentioned this to Jillian from Bookish and Nerdy. I told her that, because she loved the book as well, I told her that one thing about this book that I would love is if Ava DeLaria wrote a book in the perspective of Sky. I would love that. Just to see Sky's perspective. But yes, I loved this book so much. Then the next book that I read this month is going to be Where She Went by Gayle Forman, and this is the companion novel to If I Stay, which is the first book. If I Stay is told in the perspective of Mia, and Where She Went is told in the perspective of Adam, several years, about I think 3 years after the events of If I Stay happen. I didn't know for sure if I wanted to read this book or not, but then went on Amazon, has it on sale for like $5.97, $5 something, and so I went ahead and picked it up, especially since I have Amazon Prime, so it was completely worth it. So yeah, and I read this I think a day and a half. So like I said, this is told in the perspective of Adam about 3 years after the events of If I Stay happen. I think when I mentioned when I read If I Stay that I liked If I Stay, but not really a lot happens in the book. I'm going to have to go with the same thought process on Where She Went. Although I enjoyed it, it was not, I don't know that I liked it more or less than If I Stay. I probably liked it about the same. I think I gave this one as well either a 3.5 or a 4-star. Like I said, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't anything amazing. In fact, I found it to be a little bit of annoying sometimes. Like, when the general consensus that I've heard is that when people read Where She Went, they love it because they loved Adam. They loved Adam. But for me, it fell short for me because of Adam. I found Adam to be really a baby. I mean, I don't know how else to put it kindly, but Adam was whiny a lot of the story. He's like, I understand his emotional toll. I understand the way he feels and why he feels that way, but he's really just a baby. And then when we get to Mia, when he talks about Mia is not necessarily a bitch, because I understand what happened to her, but Mia's thought process and the things that Mia does in the story is kind of like, but yeah, like I said, I liked it. It wasn't the best thing in the world. I liked it, and I'm still going to see If I Stay when it comes out in the movie theater, but I mean, you know, they were just easy reads. So, and finally, the last book that I read this month was a review book that I was sent by Abby Kettner and Missy, and I don't even want to mispronounce her name because I don't want to get it wrong, but they had asked me if I wanted to review a copy of their book, and the book is Branded. And so I read it this month. I've been kind of behind on my review books, but I read it this month. It was the last book that I read, and I read it on my Kindle, and I read it in 2 days. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of depth on the book because I am actually going to be doing a separate video for that as well. Just to suffice it to say that I liked the book, but I didn't love the book. I think the most that I'm seeing people giving it 5 out of 5 stars, but for me, I gave it about a 3.5, maybe even a 3. It wasn't it wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad though, if that makes sense. So pretty much, Branded is a story about a girl named Lexi, and Lexi lives in this dystopian world that takes place after World War V, and shit has kind of hit the fan. There is a commander now, and the commander is over the I guess the society, and Lexi lives in a world where you can be accused of being a sinner, and when you are accused of being a sinner, then you are branded. So Lexi is accused, and she is branded as a sinner, and she is sent to live in the hole, and the hole is where they send the sinners to live, and Lexi is branded blue, which essentially means she is a whore. And I will say what I liked about the book is how it was pretty gory at times. It was pretty graphic at times, and I really enjoyed that. But the love aspect of it, to me, was it just fell short. I think the book could have been so much better if there was not so much focus on the middle of the part of the book with all the love. But I'll explain that when I give it to my review. So overall, I liked Branded. Will I continue? I don't really know. From my understanding, they have started to write it, and I believe that the second book will be called Hunted. But like I said, I don't want to go too much into detail of it because I want to make a separate video review for it so you guys can see my thoughts on it. But yes. So other than that, those are the 5 books that I read this month. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm going to read a 6th one or not. I'm kind of on the edge about it. But yeah, so if you guys have made any videos about what books you guys have read this month, go ahead and leave them down below. But other than that, I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.